What's up, you guys? Justin Rivas here, wanting to talk about this, the Panasonic Leica Summilux DG 12mm f1.4. This is my favorite lens and my most frustrating lens. I will say that. Let's talk tech specs for a brief moment. 12mm means 24mm on full frame, 35mm equivalent. It's wide. It's really wide, not crazy wide like the 7-14, but it's very wide. f1.4, there is a giant amount of glass right here to let in tons of that light and blur that background so hard. It's quality. It's heavy, but it's quality. It's over 300 grams, but like, even this is metal. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's got dials for manual aperture here, manual focus, you can turn it on or off. Anyway, it's one of the nicest lenses Panasonic makes. Let's talk about what I love about it. I love how good it is in low light. It saved my butt on some vlogs. If you don't follow my vlogs, that's fine. I've created a special vlog I will mention right now that I will throw up here, where I shot it basically all with this lens in 4K so you could see the video quality of it. I'll also link right here or throw some photos, do something like that so you can see some of the images that you're able to capture with this lens. So good in low light, saved my butt in the video side of things, but the way that it blurs that background too, magical, absolutely magical. Micro Four Thirds, if you don't know, the smaller sensor size, harder to blur the background than even crop sensor cameras or full frame cameras. So being able to have that 1.4 aperture just makes things really nice. And I love it for it. I also love the contrast and the colors. That's typically very subtle with lenses, but the more that I used it, especially in the photo world, I just like, oh, I love this so much. Anyway, so overall, an absolutely beautiful lens if you're one of two people, a professional photographer or a professional videographer. If you're somewhere in the middle, and even for a guy like me, who it isn't what I do full time, it's more a thing on the side, I don't know that I would buy this lens. And here's why. Probably because this isn't your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th lens. The thing that I found most frustrating about this lens was the autofocus. Now, it's not all on the lens, but when you're using those really wide open apertures like 1.4, Panasonic cameras struggle on the focusing side because they're just using a contrast to auto detection. And this lens compounded with that, there were so many takes I found where I was going to start the take and I would look over at the screen and go, oh, I'm out of focus. And I would have to force it to manually focus. And some of that is just being at that low of apertures, but I even found when this was cranked up to 2.8, it didn't focus as well as something like the 12 to 35 2.8. It just seemed like it struggled. And so, if you're planning to use autofocus for video, I cannot recommend this lens. Now, if you're saying I have to have low light capability, you can work around it. And I worked around it where I would constantly just force it to focus before I would frame up the shot. And lots of times I'd reach around on the back of the camera and flip on that manual focus and set my distance and just kind of hold it there so that I knew that it was going to stay in focus. But I could not trust the autofocus on this to be okay. Now, if you're spending like close to $2,000 on a lens, you're probably not even in that boat. If you're a photographer, I'll tell you that the autofocus when you're doing photos and not doing video, lightning fast. The DFD technology on Panasonic cameras is fantastic. And so if you're a professional photographer, great. If you're not a professional photographer, I don't know that you're really looking for a $2,000 lens unless you've got like a lot of money kicking around. There's probably some cheaper, better options out there. Even the like 15mm 1.4 or is it a 1.7? Fantastic option and a good chunk less money. But if you want the absolute ultimate best at this kind of width, then for photography, beautiful. Video side of things, where I say it's for professional videographers, is you're really not using that autofocus. You're probably throwing in a manual focus and, you know, rack focusing with some other things and really not just trusting the autofocus to be able to take care of that. If that's the case, then this lens is going to be beautiful and you want that extra depth of field for just slightly more cinematic. I'll say this. If you're in the middle like, you know, me or maybe a little bit more amateur or don't have all the budget, what should you buy instead other than this? The 12 to 35mm 2.8. Couple of reasons. One, you're actually getting zoom with it. Like, you're not just stuck at a 12mm prime like this. You're going to get 12mm all the way through 35mm, and that's great. This lens is also really good in low light. It's not as good as 1.4. It's a 2.8, so you know, it is letting in about half as much light, but 2.8 is still much better than a kit lens, and this is a beautiful looking lens. I love the contrast, I love the colors, I love all those things. So not quite as good in low light, but you're getting the zoom range. Not only that, but this has the power optical image stabilization in, and this has no image stabilization. So this one is going to be smoother for video, as well as allow you to even kind of decrease that shutter speed to maybe offset some of the light you would be losing here, because the stabilization is going to allow you a slower shutter speed for photography, and for videography it's just going to look a lot smoother, especially if you pair it with something like the G85 that I'm recording on. This image stabilization will work with the in-body image stabilization in that, or like a GX8 or the GX85 or things like that, to be able to provide even smoother video, which can look really cool. When I paired this with the G7, a lot of times the footage just looked a little bit shaky. If you're at 7mm or something like this lens, you don't notice it when it's that crazy super wide. But when you're at 12mm, you can know it, and there's lots of times where I felt like the video was just a little bit shaky, and I was wishing for the image stabilization in this 12 to 35mm. So this is an extreme lens. Extreme in that it's expensive. Now, compared to like Sony lenses or Nikon or Canon, some of the higher end glass, it's not expensive. But if you're used to spending, you know, $300 to $500 to $800 on a lens, this is $1,800 Canadian. I imagine it's $14.99 US. Maybe you can get it a little bit cheaper, but like, that's a lot of money. But it's extremely good in low light. It's extremely good at blurring the background for micro four thirds. And so if you need one of those things, then this is a great lens option. But if you're just looking for a wide that can blur the background, that's good in low light, maybe not crazy good in low light, you can get this with image stabilization. So this is what I recommend. Plus you're getting a 12, a 15, an 18, a 24, a 35mm. You're getting all those things at a 2.8 aperture. So it's hard to like 6th or 7th or 8th lens. Yes. 2nd, 3rd, or 4th lens. Make sure you got this in your bag first. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love this lens. I loved it. And for low light vlogging, it was the best, but again, you can't really trust the autofocus. So that makes it a little tricky from a vlogging perspective. Photography, unbelievable. Manual focusing video, unbelievable. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Hopefully that helps. It's probably different than some of the other reviews you're seeing, but again, check out that vlog where you can see it in action the whole time, and the output at the end is beautiful. But I'll just tell you, there were a lot of takes where I was tweaking with it, or somewhere they're out of focus, and maybe I included them or didn't include them. So a little bit more of a challenge, but I love this lens when it's working properly. When it's out of its element, it can struggle. Anyway, how do you feel about that for a review? Comments, questions, love to hear from you guys if you're using it, or if you have things you want to know about it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching.